I don't know if winning at any cost is wrong or not. There are times I've thought that the end justified the means. George Clooney, of all people. Wow. And with the ferocious hit, we are against the grain. Myself, Jeff Black, Jason Roberson, and we got the beautiful Jason Theobald over there. Today, we're joined with the Pride Food owner, Shaun Vasquez. So he has an amazing product, pretty much kicking ass over all cream of rice out there, along with other stuff. We want to kind of get into the entrepreneur conversation with him. But first off, I know you guys have been asking about the seminar. No, we have not gone live with the website about that. And the last person we added to the ticket was Justin Mahaley. So if you saw it, now Justin Mahaley is coming on with us, so that'll be a good time. And then, believe it or not, Jay, I think Skip Hill might want to join us.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it'll be a cool event over a Friday and a Saturday. So you guys will be posting on our stories and stuff like that as it comes out. Be sure to give Roberson a follow just because it helps you guys see the algorithm. And he doesn't mind being friends with y'all out there. He finds what you all do very interesting, especially the wellness competitors. Just kidding. No, it does not. But anyway, all right. So I want to get to you, Robo. I was talking shit for a second. How's your last, I guess, 2 weeks been since we've seen each other? Anything new in the world over you?
No, man, just finally got off the road for a bit, got to catch up on work. And that's it. Tried to catch up on life in general.
You work more than anyone I know. I give you credit there. Scoob. You moved into a new house, new background. It's not as aristocratic as the one before, but it
No.
looks like it will do.
Definitely not. But I also don't have all the maintenance, so it's amazing. Yeah, we're here. I like it. It's just more chill, more my speed. Business has been great. I've had a lot of inquiries, new signups. Had a few people, graduate out and move on. That happens too. So things are great there. Scooby U and the introduction of functional nutrition is kicking off next week, October 16th. Got about 33 enrolled, I think. So it'll be a good course. And Jeff, you're going to be joining me with some of your team. So, but other than that, man, I don't think anything crazy is going on in my life. I think it's pretty set. So that's about it.
Smooth. Well, the book, we actually have the cover back. So you guys will see that soon. I got that back from Diana Stevens. Partner is the one who is helping me with that. And I got all my numbers and everything and just kind of waiting to hear back from a publisher, which, believe it or not, I guess printing books is a big thing right now. So we're trying to figure that one out. And then lastly, about my spine, I found out yesterday that I'm fully blessed to could pursue my bodybuilding if I still want to. The doctor's like, stay away from surgeons if I were you. And I was like, well, that's good advice. So I'm still going to downsize, but I'm going to take this rest for sure next year off. I need to do physical therapy and learn how to walk again. He told me there's just things I should change before. And I was like, all right, I'll take that for what it is. And, it's cool. So anyway, Shaun, my man.
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You used to compete back in the day, man. I remember you kind of crushing it there for a little bit, and then suddenly you were gone. So give us a little introduction, give the audience introduction, obviously, like
you got your pro card, didn't you?
Yeah, 2016 Nationals, yeah.
And then you just poof. Like if I'm not wrong, am I? You just poof. Very similar to Cade.
I did one show. I did Dallas Europa 2018.
Okay.
And then I went Incognito.
What happened with that? What made you go Incognito after that? You get this pro card because we had Cade on, Cade Zook, and he turned pro, but he never competed. He just didn't want to. At that point, he was too injured to kind of go to the pro.
Big fella too, right?
Big bastard. Yeah, he's very sad when you talk to him in person over being 275. He's like, I'm 275. I'm like, oh, shut the fuck up. So,
yeah, man. My wife was, I think, like 5 or 6 months pregnant during at the show. So, I don't know I think Jason, you're a father, right?
I am a father,
right? Well. I don't know about the other gents if you have kids.
Jason Black is. Robo's the smartest out of all the three of us.
So you'll kind of understand that's one of the things that changes the course of your life for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd be lying to say if that was the only thing, because I'm stubborn enough to where at the time I was much more stubborn. I would have attempted to continue to push on and figured that whole, family dynamic out. It was the best thing that happened, but during prep, I started to have some GI issues.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, so we went on our baby moon after the show, and I was in the Keys in Florida, and that's when it like really started for me. I didn't have a bowel movement for like 4 days. I mean, I was excruciating, just stomach discomfort. I was pretty heavy at the time. I'd gotten I was just heavy, and I was trying to keep that weight and kind of ride it after the show, and it just kept getting worse. And for whatever reason, it wasn't. I don't feel like it was as common of a thing now for people to like do the map testing and stuff, or at least social media was just kind of pushing like, hey, you need to do this and this, and all these coaches, that know, they probably knew then, just information wasn't to me, and I wasn't big on social at the time either, and so I didn't have anything to learn on how to figure out how to fix this, and so that took me some time. Naturally, started downsizing because I just couldn't eat as much. I was eating, I wasn't throwing up. I just had severe issues, so I did all these elimination diets. Read some books. I was doing colonics, you name it. And it wasn't, my body wasn't, it was wanting to, but my GI just wasn't. And so, over the years as time got further and further away from that, I said, well, I'll make a comeback, and I should have transitioned to open at the time. And I was like, oh, well, I could easily get into 212. I was like, oh, even classic. And then I just, finally, I was able to have enough time to where I divorced myself from the thought of I'm still going to be able to do this. And then the importance of my family, business started shortly after that. So, but it was really the GI issues that just completely derailed my ability to continue to train and eat properly.
Yep.
You see that as a common thing as we get older. My GI
Yeah.
just can't do what it once could. I can say that 100%. You actually talked about business hitting off. So let's go down the road of you as an entrepreneur, because, that's the one thing the three of us here are for now, including you, are all entrepreneur backgrounds. How did it start for you to get into the entrepreneur space? Like, what is your background? So give everyone like what you're currently doing, the Pride Foods, and then like, we'll go walk it backwards so we can kind of then get into the questions about Pride after that.
Yeah, for sure. So Pride, we just hit 4-year mark, and I say it's April, so it's been a little bit, but we're 4.5 years in. Prior to that, I was the territory manager for Nutrex Research with Legacy brand. They're not as big as they once was, but they've been around a while. And I handled Texas, Oklahoma, Colorado, kind of this whole region here. Mainly the biggest was Texas, the market. And in that process, I was still competing at the time. And prior to that, I was just, I trained here and there. Was going to college when I started competing, and prior to that, I was in the Army. So I didn't have no entrepreneur experience. Definitely didn't have it growing up. But one thing, when I was living in Dallas, there was a manufacturer for Nutrex that was close by, and I kind of had the ability to learn the manufacturing process because I had no insight. Man, I didn't even know sales very much. Like, I'm surprised I even got the job. Like, what's this margin? I was like, I don't have no idea. Like, I had no idea how to figure any of that out. A buddy of mine helped get me the job, or at least the interview, which helped get me the job. And then I was really lucky to have some other sales reps that are now my best friends kind of help, along the process to learn. But learning that manufacturing process, I was like, this is pretty simple. And at the time, everybody was flavoring their own cream of rice with cinnamon, stevia, sucralose, or Walden Farms, you name it, right? Whatever they could figure out. And I learned how easy the manufacturing process was as far as just mixing ingredients and things like that. It wasn't rocket science. And so my background growing up was in a small farming community. And so I knew a little bit about rice and farming and just things of that nature. And so I asked the manufacturer, I said, how difficult would this be to flavor? Because everybody's flavoring their own. And I looked online, and at the time, nobody else was doing it. We were the first and only to launch a flavored cream of rice as well as an organic cream of rice. And so I went and I sourced a rice manufacturer, a rice grower that was vertically integrated. And I have them, I went back and forth a couple of times to get a specific mesh size that I wanted for us. Because if you do powdered rice, you don't really even have to cook it. It just kind of makes it into like a mush, right? Or if it's too big, it won't cook very fast. And so I didn't want it parboiled. I didn't want it to be previously cooked, unadulterated. I didn't want anything added to it. I wanted it very basic. And I wanted it organic as well. So PRIDE actually stands for Personal Responsibility in Delivering Excellence. I was in the process of having these issues with my digestive system. I read a few books to learn about this, the quality of foods, sourcing, the soil, and how it affects or can affect and has an influence on your digestive system and every other part of your health, right? Inflammatory response and everything. And so when I wanted to make the name of the company, military background still kind of ingrained in me. I wanted an acronym. I think lions are pretty cool, and so that kind of all married together. But I found the rice manufacturer, and I went back and forth with them and asked them if they could make this for us and nobody else, right? So we have the largest long grain white rice grower in the U.S., and they make our product for us to spec, and nobody else in the world. And so it's sourced. Whenever we put an order, I just put an order in today. We're picking up like 47,000 pounds of rice tomorrow. I put another order in today. They're going to go and they're going to grind that up just for us. It's not sitting somewhere in a warehouse or wherever. They grind it up specifically for us, ship it to our manufacturer, and then we get going. So, but that's kind of the way that it started, as far as like, I saw a need for this. Nobody else had it. And I had no idea as far as like business and what it would take and taxes and all these things. So I was kind of like ignorant enough to think, oh, I can do this. This is going to be easy. And here I am 4 years later, like it's been a grind, and I've been getting, on the cheese grater, so to speak, but it's been fun as hell.
In entrepreneurship, we always say day one is day one. Every day is day one, right?
Yeah.
What did you do on day one? And then after that, Jason, Robo, and Scoop, be thinking of questions for you guys to be able to pivot. But what did you do on your day one? I know what I did. I sat there, expected a lot of people to come through my doors, and nobody came through the doors of my gym. It was a rather lonely day, except for me and my clients and my friends at the time. So, curious what you expected of your day one.
Yeah. So with an e-commerce brand and the relationships I had from competing and from working in the industry, I had retailers lined up. I had friends that were competitors or reps for other companies. I had built great relationships. So essentially, my day one started way before PRIDE in regards to like marketing, and I always took care of a ton of people. Like I worked for Nutrex, and Project AD was getting pretty big at the time, and I loved their products. Frank Colicino, I used to like help him out a ton. Icon Mills was just getting going. I would help them out. So I was always helping the retailers, like, hey, you should get this in. This sells really well over here, and XYZ. So I was always helping them. So when my day one came around, I'd been planting seeds of like taking care of people and reps and customers for a while. But what I did do is prior to us launching in April and March, I went to the Arnold. And Tuttle, Chris Tuttle, he laughs about this. I had a roller duffel bag full of cream of rice, and I went and handed it out. And so we hadn't launched yet. The launch was when we came back, right? Because I was moving from Texas to Oklahoma the same week that we would launch. And so the main thing was just getting a buzz on it. I went to John Meadows. He had a little seminar, and I worked with John, for USA's in like 14. And so I went and did his little seminar there. We sold some, but we were just trying to get the marketing up. So when we did hit live on our day one, social media, Instagram was already turning pretty good for us. So we had a really, I would have to say, a successful launch that first day. And I thought that was like, I made it, here we go. I had a big shipment. I went and dropped off at USPS, and I was like, this is oddly amazing how this, happened. And so, we rode that for a while, sold out shortly thereafter, and had to reorder and all that. But I was warehousing out of my house and packing everything out of there. So I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off.
Oh man. Robo, what question do you have? And then Scoop, hit it.
Yeah, I don't want to get too tactical yet, but I'm gonna hit you with balancing, reordering, and credit and all that stuff. But I'm gonna save that for the moment. You mentioned planting seeds as far as building the relationships. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you really focus on cultivating a relationship with an individual, making it mutually beneficial, and how you see that fulfilling, helping them in addition to yourself.
Yeah, when I first started working for Nutrex and going around to these accounts, I didn't do it thinking it was a two-way road. I honestly, especially I was still competing at the time and training pretty hard. I really liked these, maybe another product from another company. And I was really bad at like asking for sales. And so I just wanted to provide value. And I want in Texas, I've learned that it's different. Let's say you go up north or California, like Texas is good old boys, right? So we just sit there, have conversations, build relationships, learn about their kids, what they're doing, training, help their customers. The more experience I got at the company, as well as competing, I was able to provide value to their customers. And so I just genuinely wanted to help out. I never thought it'd be a two-way street. It just put it out. You talked about karma, right? Like that karmic debt. I didn't even know what it was at the time, but I was just putting it all out. Always, always, always. So when it came time for me to kind of would be able to receive some of that, those people were already doing it. So I think the most important thing is when it started to come back to me, I didn't keep it. That karmic debt, I continued to try to push it to somebody else, pay it forward somewhere else. There's been a few friends that now have launched businesses here in the past probably year or two within our space. And anytime I tell them anytime, and I've spent countless hours on the phone helping them, like with how to ship it properly, how packaging, whatever. And I very upfront, hey guys, I don't want you to think I want anything for this. I don't want equity. I don't want to buy in. I don't want free product. I'm going to order. You're doing me a favor by letting me put that good karma back out into the universe. And so it's never been a thought like, how can I do that? I just want to take care of people. And it's honestly just taking care of itself by doing that.
They probably recognize that, see that, value it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask here? I'm always curious when someone first starts a business, if you'll share it. Do you remember how much money you had to put in to get the business rolling?
$13,000.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with the New Fit company?
Vaguely.
They're out of Austin. It's Brad Rowe was using it on Dexter Jackson.
Yeah.
So the predecessor is ArcWave to that technology out of Austin. After I'd won the Texas State back in like 12 or 13, I got in contact with them via one of my accounts in Austin. And I met the owner. He hadn't had this technology yet. I trained with the technology, and I'll fast forward, past all that stuff. Long story short, eventually I was given one of those machines. It's a class 2 FDA approved medical device. It's about, I think it retails for like 20,000, or at the time it did. And you can use it for therapy. And obviously with Dexter, you can use it for training, right? Essentially it's a neuromuscular re-education. And I'm just regurgitating. I don't hold that all intelligence. I just regurgitate what they taught us. And it's a pretty phenomenal machine. Like I just drove to Texas this past weekend, 10 hours, and then turn around Sunday morning, 3:30, 10 hours straight back. Right. And I wear the machine while I drive, and it operates off of 500 eccentric contractions per second. So it lengthens the tissue out. You get out of the vehicle, you sit down for so long, everything starts to get tight. And I get out and I'm just feel amazing. Knees don't hurt, hips don't hurt, etc. So it's an amazing machine. All that to say, I asked my wife, I said, hey, can we pull out X amount of money from savings to start the business? And, at the time we had nothing in savings. I think collectively out of college, we were making like $32,000, $34,000 between the two of us. She was a college gymnastics coach after competing here at OU. And she's like, yeah, we could pull it, but maybe you should try to find some and hustle and, get a little extra. So while I was working for Nutrex, coming up to Oklahoma, I would schedule New Fit sessions. And sometimes like I wouldn't even go out and work the field. I would just schedule 12, 14-hour days back to back, cash money, like 100, 125 a session at one of the gyms here. And I did that for a minute. Like I would just come to Oklahoma, go back to Texas, come back, do it again. So I saved the cash. And when I went to put in the PO, half of it was savings, and then half of it was me just grinding. Yeah. So it was around 13,000, and then it's just gone up since then. So
good deal.
In the business world, everyone talks about scaling. What's been the hardest part for you to scale your business? Maybe, when you said you're a cheese grater, he's kind of get beaten with a baseball bat on
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit. What's been the hardest part for scaling with you in a food-based product that you've encountered?
When everything happened with whatever they want to call, the lockdowns and all this BS with manufacturing, we had to wait for 2 orders, 16 and 18 months.
Oof.
And at the time, yeah, Jason, you'll get like it. We source the rice, we source our bags. It's flavoring, salt, and sugar. And we because all manufacturing pretty much blew up at the time, right? They went through the roof, manufacturers did, because of what was going on in the supplement world. And because we were such a small fry, we kept getting just pushed off. There was no issues with any of our ingredients, none. Maybe just a delay because there was a volume increase, right? But you're talking 12, 14 weeks, 20 max, not a year and a half. Wow. So that really inhibited us. We had to pull off of selling on Amazon, pull off on some partners across borders. And it really, what I've learned now is it inhibited us from hiring personnel that would help us grow. And I at the time, because I had no experience, thought it's more products. We're gonna launch more products or more flavors, and that's gonna help us grow. And the bottom line is we have let's say our top 4 or 5 are phenomenal products. We need more doors. We need more people. We need to focus on those, right? It's the whole 20-80 rule. 20% of your 80% of your sales come from 20% of your product, right? We need to focus on those and get personnel to grow. And so I didn't know that. So I had to learn the hard way. So it was inventory. And then what Robo is talking about is managing ordering. I had no idea. So we're 4.5 years in. About 4 months ago, I finally built my first projection calculator. And one of my good friends started the same as me at Nutrex, and then went to essentially all the way up to VP of the entire company. And he's been in my corner ever since. And he's helped me kind of learn this process, because I've got nobody to essentially teach me. Now, there's stuff online, I'm sure, books and all these different things, but you don't know until you actually really, really know and know the importance of it. So it's been inventory management and inventory management, just from multiple aspects of inventory management. Yeah.
Robo, you're familiar I'm pretty heavy in the business world as a whole with what you do, selling businesses. Any follow-ups you have to that I might have missed on with the scaling stuff that you might want to dive deeper on for everybody?
I think Shaun hit most of it. The best example, if you ever want to find out about the problems you have when you launch any sort of CPG, which is consumer packaged good, is going to be you make an order, you sell it, then you make another order with that profit, then you have to wait till that comes in to sell it again. And so it's not as though you always have inventory. It's hard to manage that cash flow. I'd be super curious just to hear those learning steps that you had for anyone who's looking at that, what you do now to avoid running out of inventory entirely or having to cut off those foreign suppliers or even Amazon.
Yeah. So the big thing is having the projection calculator, and then not only having that projection calculator your calculator based off of your sell through now. And so I built it out in Google Sheets, and I have all my numbers in there, right? I'm sure you're very aware of that, how it kind of looks. But then building out the projection calculator based off of certain channels that we want to activate, whether it's getting back on Amazon, going in Canada Direct, et cetera, et cetera. And then some of it's a shot in the dark, right? Because you have to kind of make somewhat of a guess. And then I'm actually in the process of learning now. So I have these projections and increase on sell through, and then place an order based off of that. But in that meantime, you don't have proper analytics, right, to follow it. So you have about 2 orders that you have to get through until you have, and then sell through time. So then you can read those analytics properly. But what my very good friend and kind of mentor in this process has been telling me is, no matter what, that he forces himself to look at it daily. So I would say, read your numbers daily and communicate, right? And build in buffers. So my manufacturer, I moved manufacturing to a local one. They broke ground on a new facility. And so he's thinking for himself, I need to grow my business. And so they're trying to grow, which is going to increase their lead time currently until they get into the new facility. And so communicating to know, hey, how is your lead time, and asking a couple times a month, just so you know, because you got to build a buffer on top of that as well. And then staying on top of all components that are in your product, whatever you're selling, if it's two things that, make it or whatever it is, and then watching them daily, because, especially we have these partners that are across borders that they'll take a pallet, 2 pallets at a time, if not more, of a certain product. And then that completely changes our projections. Right. And the other thing that I'm doing it now, right? We're a small company. Eventually we will have somebody, it sounds like maybe like something that your specialty in is that they know this like the back of their hand. This is what they enjoy doing. This is what they are very good at. But right now it's for me to learn.
Yeah. Do you negotiate terms, 210 net 30 type things with suppliers?
Yeah, we have a number of different ones. We've always
don't
done
have to share specific, but
sure. Yeah. Net 30, especially if they're allowing us like no down payment is kind of a big one. And because we've done very well as far as like our terms in the past, we typically get something like that extended. So it's been very, very nice because I've done everything with what we make. I haven't done anything with like credit or credit cards, of course, but nothing big. But I want to get there. I want to get to where we'll need that, because that means that we're scaling and growing even more, right?
We go public and it solves the problem, right?
Yeah.
Jay, what question do you have, Scoot, man?
Well, I mean, so I understand you've got the rise and grinds, you've got the butters. Do you plan on adding more, or are you just going to stick to, the 20% of your product is the main thing to focus on? Do you plan to bring in other products, or are you just going to kind of be like, nope, I'm staying in my lane and this is how we're going to scale?
It's a good question, and it would have changed. It's changed since a year ago. So we do have, we haven't even it's on me, but we haven't marketed it very well. We recently launched an organic certified US grown rice as well, 2-pound bag. But again, that's on me for not marketing it very well. When I was in Southeast Missouri, my wife was coaching gymnastics. I met a guy there. He happened to be, he competed a couple of times, but he's a 3rd-generation family farmer. And so he just built out his mill. So I cut out like 2 or 3 middlemen, and I go straight to the farmer. And we've got excellent pricing, phenomenal quality. I don't know if you ever had Lundberg sushi rice.
I have.
It's typically my favorite. I just love the texture. Dude, our rice, I'll send you some out. Our rice is like, the texture is hearty. It's not as small, it's a long grain, but the texture is solid. And so, and we're able to do that because I know the rice farmer, and I know he has the mill. So we got into it really small, not a big overhead. If you kind of rewind, we did the bars. I don't know if you've seen the crispy bars that we had.
No, I haven't seen those.
Yeah, we had some Rice Krispie treat bars.
Okay.
The macros were phenomenal. The ingredients were great, but it was I did it too soon. I should have invested in personnel. I should have invested in more of our rice product, right? I learned the hard way. We had to do $100,000 bars on the opening order, and we just weren't there. I didn't know, and now I learned, right? Yep. So all that to say, this entire year has been a big change. I moved my family about 45 minutes north of where we were, north into the country. We just got done moving my warehouse because it was closer to the house. We moved manufacturing, we moved fulfillment, and I had 12 serving and 30 serving. So we discontinued the 12 serving to focus on the 30 servings. Most of our customers want that because we were the first to have a cream of rice. A $15.99 entry into the product is easier than a $34. Now our customers are asking for even bigger serving sizes, right? So we're discontinuing those, focusing on the 30s. My primary focus is to keep those in stock because that's what's driving us, right?
Yep.
Then we can look at certain things. And what I do have in the pipeline, at the beginning of next month, we'll have a single serving variety pack. So for people who want to introduce to the brand, it's a 4th serving of our top 4 flavors. kind of hit that spread and even a lower price point entry into the brand. And then we're knocking out some limited flavors for next year. Just, once they're gone, they're gone. Limited run, limited looking bags, just to help with marketing, social media, create brand awareness, and then to have some kind of different cool flavors, maybe seasonal flavors and stuff like that. After that, I do have a list of things that we want, but that's going to be down the line when we actually start to grow and scale and have some capital to work with us.
You mentioned marketing. That was going to be my next question. Have you brought in a team to do like your Instagram marketing, your email marketing, or is it all still word of mouth?
So we're still pretty large, word of mouth and organic. We do have an agency that a buddy of mine owns that's been helping. Actually, I think Krausen, right? Mike?
Oh yeah.
So Mike really has helped me since day one.
Okay. Yeah, he does a lot of my stuff. Yeah.
So they're going through some changes there, which is going to affect us. But for the most part, he's been helping us for a bit. I had somebody prior to that. But they're really doing like email campaigns, SMS, some stuff with AR, which his new platform AR has just been phenomenal for us as far as a customer service, customer experience journey kind of thing. And then in regards to social media, that's still we still do that in-house. It's either me or Alfonso.
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Over the next 5 years, where do you see yourself wanting to go with your company? Like, what's driving you forward? Like, where does the vision go for the next few years? Because, if you read all the business books, companies die when the visionary stops seeing. So what are you doing to kind of, I guess, nurture that vision? And how do you see it evolving over the next few years?
The biggest thing is for me, continuing the learning that I've been on a pretty heavy journey myself the past 2 years to just become a better, for lack of a better word, person. But that translates to father, husband, leader, business owner, so that I can help the people around me as well. And then a byproduct of that is the company's going to continue to do good things and grow itself. More specifically with the company, we have a food product. Now we do operate pretty heavy in the fitness space, but it is a food product. My daughter, she's eaten it since 2 years old, maybe even younger than that. We mix some stuff with her, and a bunch of our audience, our customer bases are mothers with kids, so it's not just, us meatheads here on the call. So the product fits on a grocery shelf. It's figuring out how to make that happen and find it with the least resistance. I did send our brand deck over to Vitamin Shop here recently to see, they slot and put on the shelves, I think twice a year I think it's twice a year. They get, I forget what they call it. See the hair, but they get the new brands on the shelves. And so I'm open to that as well. But really where I thought, previously it was about products, it's about people, right? And I want to do more with surrounding myself and the company with great people, and then pour into them, and then watch the company grow as well. And there'll be a slew of learning possibilities when that starts happening. Because right now, most people don't know it. It's me and it's my right-hand man, Alfonso. So outside of the agency and the people, it's just me and Alfonso as far as like full-time employees.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How many hours are you slinging a week?
I don't even keep track anymore. Yeah. So here, I work from home, and I have a 10-month-old and a 5.5-year-old with me 24/7. I mean, my wife, we're married, but she has a corporate job. And so we made the decision that I'd be working from home and with them. So I don't know when I work all the time. Right.
Fair.
Yeah. It's fun though.
No, it seems like you're having a good time. Like, you don't look like business is beating you too bad. At least if it has, you at least have good spirit about it. Not a lot of people do. Like, it takes something to kind of get past 2 years of business. I always tell people, like, the first 2 years, 3 years, I thought were the hardest. I don't know how Jay and Robo kind of feel, but for me, I thought the first 2 to 3 years of building a gym was probably the hardest work I ever did, as far as really trying to get it out there and get it growing, and then freeing up money and keep spending it. Cause I'm debt free with my gym. I pretty much, as I've grown it, I just keep reinvesting until I have something that's really good now. So I really appreciate the way you handle business. Is there any other business you would want to run ever in your life? Like, if you exit out of this, would you want to go anything else? Like make a t-shirts, I don't know, like OnlyFans account for yourself, 50
Yeah.
plus, like who knows where you go, right?
My wife and I are heavily considering opening up a school.
Oh,
Her stepping away next year. We're in phase, I guess phase 3 of it. I don't know if you guys know, I've heard of the Apogee program.
No.
You follow Tim Kennedy?
Loose.
So Tim Kennedy he's I think he's still special forces, but he's one of those guys. But he has a school. Tim Kennedy was the special forces, like UFC guys, like one of the only guys to fight while he was active duty. But he has a school, Apogee Cedar Park, and we've been involved in this network there, this Apogee program, from Matt Boudreaux and Tim Kennedy. Now, myself specifically in their father's group, and then they have a young man's group as well. It's a mentorship. They bring in the likes of Bedros Keuilian, Andy Frisellas, and Alex Hormozy, like, and the list literally goes on. And they're getting ready to have an initiative to launch at least 500 schools in the next few years. And we're heavily considering opening one of those here with everything that's going on in the education system and with the young people. We're kind of stepping up there here in Oklahoma. So that, the things that what I do, what do I have interest in is things of purpose. And I'd love the opportunity to continue to use pride to push that, right, as kind of a means to drive that, to do things, of purpose. Because that's, as I'm getting older now, those are the things that are having much more fulfillment for me internally, as opposed to, like, trophies and things like that. Is helping people, finding time freedom, financial freedom, right, emotional freedom, all these things, so they can be autonomous and go do their own thing, what makes them happy.
100%. I'm
always curious. One of the ways that, I work my schedule, I front load. So like Monday through Wednesdays are a bear. Thursdays, not quite as bad. Fridays are pretty chill. Saturday and Sunday, I try to do minimal. Do you do anything like that, or is it just kind of however the day goes for you?
Good question. I'd love to get to the point where you just explained, because it's been kind of a fire drill. I'm learning. I've been, I said, the past 2 years has been a huge learning experience for me, especially now with the kids and wanting to be present with them. So that's hard, because you have to be a light switch, right? You got to be on, off, on, off, on, off.
Yep.
And then what I've learned here recently is that I'm too reactive in business, and one of the reasons that we haven't been able to scale and grow properly. Like the reality is, now where I am, if we were ever in a position where it's going to take us 16 and 18 months to wait for products, it's not a fucking chance. Not going to happen, right? Then I was just on my heels. I was scared. I was timid, not sure what to do. But now, right, like that's a reactive kind of situation. Now I'm being proactive, understanding all the things that go into it, and part of that is going to be my schedule as well, and having time blocks. So I just did it for my daughter, right? She has her schedule. She gets to pick her time blocks, whatever it is, that we have curated for her to do. She creates it. The wild card is my son. He's 10 months old. He doesn't give a shit about anybody's time blocks.
No.
He has his schedule that we kind of are accustomed to, but that's going to change in 2 months, right? Like he's going to be walking soon, and it's going to change again. So what I have created is, my wife helped me do this. It's something just called an action log. And every week it gets updated, and we have it shared with, my right-hand man. And we have these tasks, and get these completed, in progress, not let's talk about why, and then they move on to the next week, and so forth and so on. So it's right now, it's more or less trying not to be as reactive as possible, trying to be proactive in tackling these tasks. But I certainly do value making sure that I take time to step back and say, hey, these aren't fires. They're important, but they're not fires, because I absolutely, the first thing for me is being a father and husband.
Yeah. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you answer emails and run a business when you got a 10-month-old that you're basically the main caregiver for. I don't know how you do it. Like, just when my dog needs food and I got to take it out, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I got all these emails. I can't even imagine having a 10-month-old. So kudos to you. Because I remember what they're like. I was able to focus on my work though. So I don't know how you're doing that, but kudos to you.
Well, certainly two things, and thank you very much. One is my right-hand man, Alfonso, stepping up in a big way. He's kind of our brand manager. He does a lot, wears multiple hats, right? It's not taking everything off my plate, but it's giving me a pressure release valve. And then, I certainly understand that, what I am giving my kids is what I didn't have, right? So in my upbringing, like, it was completely different, chaos and absence. So I may be overcompensating a little bit in that regards, like wanting to make sure I'm there. But the most important thing is it's our choice to do so.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, so those two kind of things are leading that.
That's tough. I can front load my schedule because my kids are older. And it's really just about, when business needs to get done. But for me, it's helped because I'm more, refreshed after Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are more chill. I can really go hard Monday through Wednesday. And then it just kind of starts to do that. So that's how it was in college when I played sports. Like, we ramped up and then we'd ramp into the game and then we'd ramp up. So I kind of just took that on in business, and it helps me stay a little more fresh. So
I like that, kind of like training, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like cycling the training.
Exactly. Same thing. Yeah. So Mondays are a little bit more of a bitch, but then Thursdays, I'm done pretty early, and Fridays I don't do a whole lot. I just answer a few emails. So, but the first 3 days are very hectic. So I was just curious if you had anything like that. I find it's helpful, especially for the long haul. So.
Yeah. I like it. I may have to steal some of that when I can.
Yep.
You also get a massive marijuana habit on a Sunday night before the Monday happens, because it's balls to the wall on a typical Monday with all the other typical fires that a Monday brings.
I mean, every night gets a little bit of that. It's just a little chill.
Yeah,
100%. Robo, you got any questions to follow up? We got about 10-15 more minutes left from Mr. Shaun.
Yeah, Shaun, you mentioned one of the things you wish you would have done was investing in personnel when talking about some of those expansions. So is your plan to build out the team, and what are you looking for as far as a future structure?
Yeah, the plan is certainly to build a team. So first comes the projection calculators, and then acting on those projections, right? Investing the capital in there to grow, activating the channels. And then we have some real numbers that we're looking at. And then as those numbers start to hit, we start get a flywheel effect, and hitting those numbers, it's like, all right, who are we investing in? What are the first 3 positions that we need, right? Like we're very organic in regards to social media, but we do need to be proactive there as opposed to reactive again, right? So creating content, which we're not big on. We share a lot of things, but we're just not there at this time. And so bringing somebody on board to help with that, right? Looking at activating bigger channels, FDM, and looking for personnel there. So, and I'm very open to learning what would be the smart decisions for the business as well, right? A CFO actually may be something where to look at, like making sure that the numbers are where they need to be as we start to grow these things, right? Not having any experience at all in business. One, it's not an excuse, but 2, it is a reason why, I am where I am. And now I have the opportunity to learn these things that I don't know. And so this is like what I have in mind and what I think will work. But as I learn and maybe invest in myself as far as education with business, get mentors, things like that, that's subject to change. But personnel is certainly the priority.
And I think you hit on, a CFO is nice, but you can gain those skills. You don't necessarily have to pay someone, and a good accountant can act as that, especially when you're still growing. But yeah, it makes sense based on what you're doing. I don't know how long you can burn the candle at both ends, right?
Yeah.
And that next level of growth is all based on that personnel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I think coaching companies get, and especially my gym being a brick and mortar, what stops me more than anything is the acquisition of good people who actually want to play on a team and understand what that really looks like. Like, a lot more people think that they can just kind of go build on their own because every mentor and mastermind and brilliant person who's ever made one small smidge of fucking money for themselves has convinced people of, right? But there's something to be said about strength in numbers, and I'll be interested to see what the younger generation brings to the business table for companies like ours, with Scooby Health and yours with Pride and mine with the gym to keep us surviving. If you really kind of look at it, that's kind of where I look at is what the younger generation's into for survival over the next 20 years.
Yeah, for me, it's the best thing that I can do to ensure what you said, and Robo, what you said is to become better myself, right? Because I have to be that leader. I have to be the visionary. I have to have the action, and didn't realize that until I was a father, because they're little, minis as well that are going to follow, right? And so I have to be worthy of that. I have to be and make that and honor that as well. And so as I'm doing all this, I'm trying to sharpen myself so that I can, because they're never gonna care as much. It's just not like it's not right. And they're gonna make mistakes. And so, like the former me 4 years ago, right? My wife would pack an order and she would mess up, and I'd be like furious, right? I would pack an order and I'd mess up and I'd get a pass. I'm like, what is that? It's the same thing, right? What are you doing, right? And I mean, I wouldn't like berate her, but I just would be totally pissed off about it.
No, we get it as men. We understand. Like,
yeah,
it's
like,
the sweet passive aggressive anger.
I should have done this, right?
Yeah.
So your employees, people that they're gonna mess, I'm gonna mess up. I need to give myself a little grace from time to time, right? Like I messed up on the inventory, and so, but yeah, being a leader that they want to follow as personnel, that they can see the vision and setting it for them and acting upon it. That's going to be, I think, the biggest thing. One of the biggest things for us.
One of the things that we did at New Ethics, because I think you can get to the mill, the 1.5, without a visionary, and without any marketing. Once you get to that range, sometimes it helps to have an outside visionary, take a look at things. We basically did like a rent a CEO. There's
really.
Yeah, I don't want to call business coaches.
Oh, that's that guy you were talking to me about all the time.
Yeah.
Okay,
so they come in, you pay them per month, and they, basically set up metrics and, help you hire and help you get the right people. And so, that was kind of an important step. The first 2-3 years of New Ethics, it was just kind of me and Steph doing a lot of things, and Vince here and there as well. And so, but I think once you get to that certain point, sometimes it helps to have someone who's been there and done it. And that was really helpful because it educated us. And then, of course we put other people in place, and he helped with that. So for us, that was kind of an important piece. And then we brought in the marketing team and got the Instagram and all that stuff going. And so, I think, don't discredit that too, that sometimes there's good people you can kind of rent their time and kind of learn, educate you as well. And it helps, like you kind of have an idea where you want to go, but sometimes people have a different way of looking at things, and it does help. And I found it valuable, especially for New Ethics.
Yeah. I'll look into it. I certainly will. I think one of the biggest things that I've learned here recently, and Alex Hermosi.
Yeah. Yep.
He said is that like, you don't win at being married. Marriage, you like the thing is you stay married, right? Like at business, you don't win at business, you have endurance, you stay in business, and the patience, right? Patience and learning.
Yeah, people, your team's invaluable. Anyone listening, you'll never get as far on your own as having good people around you. Hiring people smarter than you too is really important. I'm a big proponent of that as well. So,
100%. I guess the last question I was gonna ask you, for me, and if you guys have one more after you guys are done, please feel free to ask. But when you step back and you look at it, has it been worth it to you?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
No regrets or regrets, or however they say
None.
it.
None. It's been
That's refreshing to hear. Normally I hear Bitch Fest.
yeah, not at all. Yeah. I love every part of it, and then all the things that I've learned along the way. Having my daughter being able to see the entire process, right? She's been with us quite a bit throughout that. And that's her norm. So her norm is that. Her norm is dad works in this business and she helps out, right? She's on payroll, she's taking care of things. So it's been fun, man. Yeah, not at all.
I get it.
I think
Yes,
you're
Rob.
sorry,
Go ahead,
but
Rob.
I think you're kind of seeing in our generation maybe something that we didn't see in our dads, which is Sean, someone like yourself, where you're working your ass off constantly. Your kids are seeing that at home in the house every day. Whereas if you go back to our generation and before, if one of our parents worked their ass off, you didn't see that. That was at the office, that was away. And so we never appreciated what they did for us until we got to that older age and we realized what they went through. I'm secretly hoping, based on the example you said, Jeff, you said, Jason, that your kids all see, oh man, this is really what it takes. And they have a different mentality than we did at 22, 23, where we came out cocky as hell and thought we knew everything.
Yeah.
Well, we deserve 40-hour work weeks too and shit like that.
Yeah.
And maximum living and benefits. Like, I only want to work 40 hours a week. In fact, 4 10s, like calling shots. Yeah.
I'm curious as far as your thoughts on taking on an investor. While you may not have, is that something you'd consider in the future where you stand?
It's a big, we've had some opportunity to have discussions early on, but fear, I'm sure, is a big driver early on. Not knowing, having a business background, not having that, right? Like it's kind of maybe it could be called like a scarcity mindset, just not knowing enough about it. And one thing I didn't mention is prior to launching Pride, I was going to launch a dog supplement company by myself. The idea was, I literally said, run it out of our garage and can supplement my wife's income. She'll stay home with the kids and like, ship orders, all work for Nutrix. Well, I got talked into letting 2 guys jump on board with me. And it literally went nowhere. And it actually went backwards. It got some debt. And it just wasn't, it sounds like you probably know. And so that really gave me perspective. Like I don't want to have to rely on anybody else. Right. So it did help as far as like, make sure that like I was kind of, I wasn't just going to fall for anything, but also I'm sure it kind of maybe hindered a little bit as well, as far as like taking on something that would be beneficial. Now it's understanding that if I were to do that, we would have to have the same vision and cohesiveness and work together for it to make sense. But also I kind of like riding this roller coaster on my own. But at some point, if I grow it to where it needs to, it's going to have to be a conversation that is had, because I realize that there needs to be a separation between what I want, what the business needs as well. Right. And I have to look at it objectively and say, okay, what is the smart, realistic, logical thing to do to appease both myself, my personal, and also the business and what it needs. Because as we grow and we get these personnel, I have to take that very serious as well, and their livelihoods, and if they have families and what they want to do with their futures. And so when that time comes, it's something that it's a conversation I'll take very serious.
You're right where Phil Knight was when he wrote Shoe Dog. Some of the same situations. It's eerily similar.
Wow. Okay. Is that a book?
Yeah, he's the founder of Nike. And it's about him going from starting it to going public. A lot of it's his BS about, oh, I'm super friendly and I'm not abusing, factory workers in a third world country.
Right.
We all know the truth, but he had the same issues you did. So it's super entertaining, worth a read.
It's a good book. Yeah,
for sure. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I've read it. I guess my final question would be this. as entrepreneurs, you found a product that, you solve a need. And I think those are the best businesses. You see a need, you solve the need. But we also usually have revenue goals. I won't ask you specifically what those are, but I will ask you, as you contemplate where you want to go in terms of revenue, what do you think is the biggest thing holding you back that you have to change or that you have to do better at?
Yeah, we certainly do have those goals. One, because we're small now, but the things like the time freedom, the financial freedom, removing ourselves, from like the matrix or the system or whatever it is, for myself, my family, for Alfonso, and then for whoever else comes, like those are resources to get there, right? Things that we want to do for our family, for our community, for other people, we resources. And so we want to grow, so we can do that. Like I said earlier, modality to do better, to get there. And it's I'm slowly learning like the enjoyment of the game, which early on I didn't know the game, so I didn't know how to enjoy the game. And the business is a game. And now that I'm understanding that and learning it, it's becoming more fun. So it's kind of like I used to like playing games, right? So it's like I want to get bigger, just like bodybuilding, right? And the one thing holding us back, I've thought a long time that it's been me, and I'm not sure if I don't think it's not me, just because of my inexperience, right? I am the one thing driving it, but if you were to insert a Rena CEO or a Hormozy, right, like that, they would have capital, but they would also have the experience with that. So I'm pretty hard on myself, and so I would say it probably is me. And the idea is to change that into, well, what is helping us grow? And then it is me as well, right?
Yeah.
You're starting out, more experience generally means more fear. So you could take someone who's some executive who has this capital, they're going to be afraid to do what you did. Put it all on the line, go all in. That's the difference. A little bit of ignorance is way better as far as future potential, because you don't have that fear. You don't think what goes wrong. You think, what can I do?
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100% for Iron House. Like, if you had told me it would have evolved to what it evolved to and all the bullshit I got to deal with, I've been like, probably not going to go down that route. Stay a trainer, contractor, renting space from some guy and just kissing his ass and hopefully making a good penny underneath the roof. But that's a good perspective there, Robo, on that one, man. Shaun, dude, it's been a great hour chatting with you, man. Where can everybody find you? I give you a follow, anything they can do to show support, things like that. I don't know, whatever you want to say. This is your chance to say it. And, hopefully if there's anything we didn't say, you can say that too. That you'd like people to know, because we're not the best at questions sometimes.
Well, no, they were great. First off, thanks for having me on. I appreciate that you guys value Pride, value myself, and wanted to have me on and share some story and hopefully give some insight and help anybody else out as well. Kind of putting some in that karmic debt into that cup. So it always feels good. And second, thank you guys for the support. I know that we have customers that mention Jason. I know you have it at the gym there. And so the support just means, we wouldn't have been, especially organic, been able to grow to where we are now and in that base without that support. So small business, my family's in the other room, like that means to us, and I really appreciate it. But in regards to where you can find us is The Pride Foods on Instagram, pridefoods.org. Myself is Shaun Vasquez Pride, and we're still pretty heavy. I'm still pretty heavy in all things customer service, social media. So I always say, if you have any questions, complaints, concerns, send them our way, and we'll do our best to take care of you and answer any questions.
Sounds awesome, man. Well, thanks again for taking the time to chat with us, man. We appreciate it.
An honor. Thanks, guys.
See y'all.